Alright, so welcome back to another video of the Q&A. Figured I'd do a little bit of a different view. There's posters on my wall back there. You just can't see them because my head's in the way. Either way, I'm going to go ahead and get started with these questions. So let's see what we have coming up next. This set of questions starts with X59 Undertaker fan 59X, who I'm very surprised didn't ask me when I'm going to be playing Rogue Galaxy. His questions are, not sure if it was asked, but what is your favorite sport if you have one? So, obviously, I don't have an athletic bone in my body. It's not even sports. I can't run. I look absolutely ridiculous when I jog. Me and sports don't get along. As for sports that I played in school, I was actually pretty decent at volleyball. I would say if I was like forced to play a sport and I had to play one, I would probably play volleyball. And as for like watching sports, I had an ex-boyfriend who was and still is really into lacrosse, so I kind of got used to being around lacrosse, and I watched lots of his games and stuff. And it's actually pretty like violent and physical sport, and it kind of had its moments where it was like really kind of exciting. So like watching games, I guess I would say lacrosse is really fun to watch if I'm actually there watching it, like real life people in a stage. I would say if I had to play a sport, it would probably be volleyball. But those are the only really two things that I can really think of. Every other sport is either boring to watch or I would never play in a million years. And I don't have like a favorite sports team or anything either. And his next question is, what is my favorite book if I have one? Now I should probably go and actually grab it because it's on my bookshelf. One of my favorite books, which is actually gonna sound nerdy and stupid, one of my favorite books is actually Anne of Green Gables. If anybody's actually read this book, it's just about an orphan ginger kid who grows up with adopted parents. I think she lives in, is it Newfoundland? Yeah, she lives in Prince Edward Island, which is in Canada, obviously. So it's a Canadian book, and I just was exposed to it as a kid. It was a book, I think we read it in school. And I liked it when I was in school, and then I can read it over and over and over and over and over again. It's a really simple book. It's pretty easy to relate to. I like books that are kind of about real life situations because they kind of tear at my heartstrings a lot more than like fantasy and stuff. So yeah, I like it. It's simple and it's amusing, and it's just a little bit different from what I normally read. I also have a porcelain doll of Anne, which I think most people are creeped out by dolls, so I won't show her, but I had my grandmother actually, because she is from around that area, over in that part of Canada. She actually bought me this book, and she bought the doll. So she actually bought this all the way from where the book actually takes place. So, fun fact, a lot of other books I really like Aragon, Eldest, Brissinger, and whatever the newest one that came out was Inheritance, which is a book about dragons. I can't remember the actual series name, which I feel dumb about, but they're by Christopher Poloni, and they're really good. Like, I almost would really honestly read those over Harry Potter, because dragons to me are really fascinating. I haven't read a lot of books in a really long time, which I feel bad for. I read a lot more when I was younger, and then video games kind of took over, and I just kind of stopped reading. So, thank you for your questions. Ryan Nolan 63 asks, what is my favorite food? I'm a really picky eater, so I don't like a lot of things, but the things that I do like, I feel I can eat over and over and over again. For example, soup. I will pretty much eat any type of soup you put in front of my face. I could live off of soup like my entire life. I love any kind of pasta dish. Like, I love like spaghetti and Alfredo, and I really love like macaroni salad and stuff. Pasta is absolutely delicious. And I, of course, like almost every single human being, love pizza. And I don't eat pizza a whole lot because it's not very good for you most of the time. And I live with my mom, who is very, very health conscious. So I would say if I had to choose like any food to eat over and over again, it would be some sort of pasta dish because you can kind of like mix it up. Either that or pizza, because you can also, mix up pizzas. Although with pizza, I'm really particular. I only really eat plain cheese or cheese and pepperoni, and that's it. Because I don't like a lot of toppings on my food. It kind of just is too much for me. So yeah, so I'd say pasta and pizza are two of the things I really, really, really like eating. And the second question is, what is my favorite movie? So my favorite movie is Fight Club. Definitely, hands down, no question about it. Fight Club is my favorite movie ever. If you have not seen it, go watch it because it's great. It's kind of like an action movie, I guess is how I would describe it. I'm not very good with genres, and I don't watch a lot of movies either. I'm definitely not a movie person, but I can watch Fight Club over and over again. It's got good actors. It's got Edward Norton in it. It's got Brad Pitt. It's also got, and I know I'm going to say her name wrong, Helena Bonham Cartham, I think her name is. She was in The Corpse Bride and Sweeney Todd, and she's like this hot mess, but she looks amazing, and all of their roles they were assigned totally suits them as an actor. It's got phenomenal acting. It's got a great psychological aspect to it. It's got like hot, sweaty, topless guys beating the crap out of each other, so that's a plus. And yeah, it's just like thing after thing after thing after thing, and at the end of the movie you're just like, oh my god, holy mindfuck. So yeah, great movie. I love it. I've loved it for like a really long time. I think I watched it when I was in high school, and I was like, this movie is awesome. So yeah, hands down, that's definitely my favorite movie. And of course, he also says random questions are the most fun, and I definitely agree. So next question comes from RGCTheMedic. I would like to ask what you use for recording both gaming and Facecam. So of course I already explained Facecam, it's just my webcam. And what I use for recording just depends on what it is I'm recording. I use different equipment for Xbox than I do for Wii, than I do for emulated games. So I use a variety of different hardware and software. Hardware are things like my capture card and my mic and my controllers, and then the software would be all the programs I use. I actually have all this information listed on my channel, but just to kind of go over it, I use a Dazzle capture card for anything like GameCube, Wii, or PlayStation. I use my Hauppauge HD capture card for Xbox 360. I use a Logitech gaming pad for emulated games, and I use a Logitech headset for all of my voice and stuff. So I use the same headset for every type of recording that I do. Software, I use programs like Sony Vegas 9 for editing, Camtasia for recording emulated games, and Screen Capture, one of the best programs out there. I guarantee it's really never failed me. I love it. I use Pinnacle Studios, which goes with my Dazzle. I can't remember what the program is for the Hauppauge because I haven't used my Hauppauge for very long, but it has its own specific program that you use. I use WavePad for my voice, and it is, in the grand scheme of things, when you really get into Let's Playing, you can use so many different types of programs, and yeah, it's a lot of fun. I like it, and a lot of the programs I've used I've never had a problem with, and they're all really easy to use, and yeah, I'm really happy with the programs I use, and also the hardware that I have. I haven't really had any technical issues since I started Let's Playing, which has been like, whew, huge sweat off my brow, because I'm not a good technical person, although some people might think I'm good with like how things work and getting things to work. I'm not. I'm definitely not. So I hope that answers your question. And the second one that they ask is, what kind of games do I like? Which I think I've kind of covered a little bit, but obviously any type of game you see in my channel I like. So series like The Legend of Zelda, any kind of Tales of game. Tales of Symphonia is my favorite game of all time. I also own a lot of other games in the series. Tales of the Abyss, Tales of Legendia. I've played Tales of Fantasia, Tales of Vesperia, like those are all pluses for me. Harvest Moon I love, you know, Animal Crossing, The Sims, Dragon Warrior, Dragon Quest. I've played quite a few in those series. I've played lots of Pokemon in my day, although I don't much anymore. And Final Fantasy here and there. And then as for genres, I typically stick to action, adventure, RPG / JRPG. As we all know, I've pretty much beat that issue to death. So, of course, there's a lot of other games I'm into that aren't really part of a series, or they stand on their own, or I've only played one in the series, but I thought it was really good. So, that's about all I have to say for that. Thank you for your questions. I'm just going to scroll up here. This is also bouncing on my headboard, so if it shakes, that would be why. I think you pronounce it Leah or Lay, Leigh. I'm going to say Leah. So Leah Owns 92 asks, first, if I have ever played Halo. So I played Halo. I don't remember which one it was. I want to say it was Halo 2, although I could be wrong. I played this, I would say, maybe 3 or 4 years ago, so you Halo buffs out there might know which version I've actually played. And I really didn't have a good experience with Halo, which is why I didn't play for any extensive amount of time or play any of the other ones that have come out. When I played Halo, I played it with just a bunch, like my neighbors, when I first moved in with my mom, and I just, you know, wanted some people to hang out with, so I went over their house, we played Halo, but they threw me in to Xbox Live, just a random match with people on Xbox Live. Didn't teach me how to play, didn't let me practice, were too busy on their own gameplay to really explain to me like really vital game mechanics, and I couldn't learn because you had that camping douchebag on the side who was sniping you out because they knew you were a noob and had no idea what you were doing. So I pretty much eventually just rage quit on it and went home and just never looked at Halo again. I'm generally not an FPS person, as we all know, first-person shooters. I'm not good at them. If you've seen some gameplay like Left 4 Dead, you'll know I'm not, you know, I'm really not that good, although I do enjoy it from time to time. So I have played Halo. I can't say I've enjoyed it. However, again, I don't feel I can form a really valid and fair opinion based on my little knowledge of the game. So, second question is, what is my other pastime other than gaming and YouTube? Well, that's tough because that's all I do. But I do have a little, you know, a few things here and there that I do when I'm just really not in the mood or I'm just wanting something different. So I really like to write. I've had a diary since I was about 13, so I have like a big box of stored diaries, and I try to keep a diary going. Although, you know, you do have other things like blogs I have to attend to. But I like having a diary because there's just some things you don't feel like talking about, and you can just write it down, and then it's there, and you've just gotten it out on paper and in words, which is really a good way to vent as well. I feel it's a really good way to vent my emotions and just keep track of my life. So I really feel I like to write. I usually just write about my diary and personal stuff. I used to write poetry. I have a lot of poetry I used to write, and short stories, but ever since I got out of high school, I'm just kind of not into that anymore. I kind of just lost all spark to kind of keep that going. I also like to read from time to time. Right now I'm rereading actually through the Harry Potter series. So I'm on the 3rd book, I think. So I just kind of read that, usually for an hour before I go to bed. If I've got everything recorded and I just want to kind of lay down and just relax a little before bed, I read. And I love to scrapbook. So I hope you guys know what scrapbooking is. If you don't, I will be more than happy to show you a quick example of a scrapbook, my first scrapbook ever that I actually finished. So what scrapbooking is it's when you take your photos and you put them into an album, but you have like an artistic spin on it. I'm not a very artistic person, so I feel like this is kind of how I try to get my point across artistically. So this is my first scrapbook I ever did. This is actually my high school graduation. So that's my grad photo. I don't look too different. I didn't graduate too long ago. I graduated in 2010. So, you know, that's just like showing what it is. This is super simple. Flip open a random page. This is my my prom dress actually. what I look like at prom. So you can see what I've done here is instead of just putting in the photo of me in my prom dress, I've actually gone ahead, wrote a little description on the side, and you've got like a colorful background. And it's just a really nice way to catalog your life and your photos and stuff, but you do it in a way that's a little more, colorful and expressive. And, here is my best friend in the entire world, and her boyfriend and I was kind of like the third wheel at my prom. But yeah, so this is just an example of what scrapbooking is. I have more scrapbooks that I'm currently working on that are way bigger and more complex. This is probably one of my biggest, most time-consuming, but also most fun hobbies I do in my spare time. And from time to time, I also like to draw. I'm not good at drawing though, so I don't do it very often because I often get pretty discouraged just by my lack of drawing skills, although I guess I should probably just keep practicing at it and I'll eventually get better. So I do have some stuff to cut out of this video, but I'm going to stop it here just in case it gets too long. I still have one more page of questions to get through, so I hope I can get through them next time. I'm really enjoying these questions. Thank you guys so much. You all have really great questions, and I will see you next time.